My name is Esther and I teach the BreakThrough system. Explaining to you what the BreakThrough system is really difficult because it's very interactive and it's an exploration, very experiential. So the best way, I think, is to ask you some questions and the answers are for you. So imagine, if you will, that you have no head, just a gut. And just take the first answers that come to you. Don't censor yourself. And if you have a pen and paper, you might want to just pause and just write your answers down. They might surprise you. So the first question is, how would you describe your relationship with your mind? In one word, describe your mind. It's strange, isn't it? The mind is surely one of our most intimate relationships in life. After all, when everything else and everyone else is gone, here we are with our minds. And the strange thing is, even stranger, that most of us don't even think in terms of having a relationship with the mind, because we spend a lot of the time confusing ourselves as it. We say something that sounds clever and intelligent, and we think, oh, I'm so clever. We have obsessive thoughts, or we're thinking silly things, and we say, oh, I'm so stupid. So BreakThrough essentially is about cultivating a healthy relationship with our mind, gaining objectivity on the mind that has very little objectivity, in fact. This is a really different way of interacting with our mind from what we're used to. Most of us, seems to me, tend to think of dealing with the mind by trying to get rid of something, trying to superimpose something, maybe doing power of positive thinking to change the mind, trying to still the mind, trying to empty the mind. So we have a lot of recipes for how to go about dealing with this experience of ours. BreakThrough, we have a different way of dealing with the mind. Instead of beginning from a place of, I know what the mind needs to shut up, to function better, to do. Yeah, so instead of coming at the mind with an idea of how to change it, in BreakThrough, we don't do that. BreakThrough, we begin from a place of, my mind is just not objective. I don't have a very good relationship with it. What can I do to help myself? So we look at the various functions of the mind. We look at the ones that are hard for us to live with. So usually we begin from a place of looking at the reactionary functioning of the mind. Yeah. Just asking simple questions. So what is an overreaction? What happens in an overreaction? Well, one of the first things, I blame. Yeah. I'm blaming myself, I'm blaming the other person. And we explore. So what is blame? So we explore all the different facets of behavior, of how our mind is functioning. This might sound very heady, but it really isn't. So there's a wonderful psychologist, Alison Gopnik, She's written several books, and one is The Philosophical Baby. And at one point she writes, asking questions is what brains were born to do, at least when we were young children. For young children, quite literally, seeking explanations is as deeply rooted a drive as seeking food or water. And yet as adults, our way of seeking answers, we're always looking for answers, is usually to begin with an assumption. Yeah, so we go on Google and what are the health benefits of ice cream? Yeah. So we begin with already an agenda, an assumption there have to be health benefits, and usually our search engines are all geared to give the answers that we want to hear. So that's a really different way to the way children go about. So they ask questions and more questions, and their questions come from a place of, I know nothing, because they're little children. So that's the disadvantage. As adults, we already know so much, or think we do, and we ask from that place of a lot of pre-existing convictions and ideas. So in BreakThrough, we draw on the mind of the little child, yeah, which is full of curiosity and inquisitive. And we find questions that we haven't asked ourselves before, just like the ones I posed. You know, so how is my relationship with my mind? And how would I describe it in one word? And what is blame really? And what is an overreaction? So what's really happening? And in this process, we begin to realize how little we understand about this incredibly intimate relationship we've had all our lives and just taken for granted. And we learn how little we have been understanding and how in what efforted ways we've been going about trying to develop a healthier way of thinking, of being in the world. So it becomes very exciting. Yeah? And it's something that works best when we practice with other people. So we practice in groups, we practice one-on-one. And in BreakThrough, we have a 7 steps system with a very strong protocol, which gives the mind a framework and allows the curiosity, the inquisitiveness to flourish. Yeah? It's about asking questions, but the protocol guides us in how to ask questions, how to streamline the way we are going about asking. In other words, the 7 steps is designed to help us tap into the way the little child's mind functioned. That was quite natural. For us as adults, it's really developing the art of how to ask constructive questions. Yeah? And it's not about getting answers. When we ask really constructive questions, we get even clearer questions. And so the process goes deeper and deeper. And in that process, we gain more and more objectivity on ourselves, on other people, on life. And we start more and more to notice when the mind isn't functioning in a way that's serving us. And just that noticing shifts something in the nervous system. And over time, the brain starts to adjust and function in a far more objective and practical way. We haven't got rid of anything. And in the 7 steps, we get to see just how dualistic the functioning of the mind is, that it functions in pairs of opposites. And so whenever we try to do something like superimpose an affirmation or power of positive thinking, we actually are just agitating the process of imbalance. But when we see the conflict within the mind, when we see it clearly, when we see it written down, it's such a revelation to us. So we realize that it always seems as if the conflict is out there, or it seems I'm doing something wrong. And now I see that what's actually happening pre-existed long before this person or this event. So it's the way my mind has habitually learned to function over time. And as we see it, that habit of functioning loses its hold on us. It's not that anything disappears or has to be got rid of. It's just that the involvement falls away and there's more and more objectivity. So our relationship with our mind, our relationship with ourselves, our relationship with life transforms. So it's really a very alchemical process. And it's a constant exploration. So breakthrough 1, you learn the basic fundamentals of how this exploring takes place. Why would we want to be exploring in the first place? And after breakthrough 1, then the idea is you find a partner to work with, you come to something we do, steps intensives regularly, and we work together. And we do this exploration together. So it's very supportive because we again and again see we're all in the same boat. We're all very human, no matter our background, no matter how we've behaved until now. And we find that breakthrough is a very practical way of taking charge of our own lives. Because until we find objectivity in our minds don't serve us. And it's not the mind's problem. It's just functioning the best it can. But we need to get back and tap into that clarity of the tiny child. And we do that by way of all these habits that have just evolved by themselves over our lifetime. And putting those habits into perspective, we gain more and more clarity. And we're able to draw on that child's mind, that curiosity, that sense of adventure. And each time we come to, for example, a 7 steps, we do so as if for the very first time, because we have no idea what we're going to discover. It's really an adventure, which is how life is. But how often do we feel we're living an adventure all the time? Because again and again, the habitual way of thinking just is always comparing. Yeah, I had a moment like this many, many times. I've experienced this many, many times. So life isn't fresh anymore. So how could it possibly be experienced as an adventure? So this gives you a little idea of something of our focus in breakthrough. Thank you.